We're going to start with Reclined Supta Badakanasana. Reclined. Sorry, that was like reclined, Supta Badakanasana. Supta means lying down, or that you're on your back. And then you bring your feet together. And I want you to take your hands over your head and put your thumbs together and your index fingers and spread out the other 3 fingers on your hand. So your thumbs are touching the top of your head while you're lying down, right where your head and the ground meet. And you're spreading your fingers out like you have antlers or a crown. Take a full breath in, and with your exhale, just sigh it out. It's so great. Like, you know, I have about 20 years of teaching yoga, and there'll be a time that I'm really like, you know, there's certain poses that I do all the time or often, and then somehow they just disappear. And this is one of them. This is it's a great pose. It obviously you can feel that it opens your hips, and it's nice when it's reclining, it's kind of chill, but it also is the anger removing pose. And it was one of the postures that kind of made me a believer or like really got me so unavoidably. The first time I heard that this pose was an anger removing pose, I remember, you know, being in class and being like, yeah, right, whatever. But I had an opportunity to practice it when I was actually mad, when I was upset and pissed. And I got into the posture and I felt like my whole body was vibrating. It was such a different experience than coming into the posture when I was, you know, peaceful and harmonious. So just notice how it's showing up for you today. I don't imagine that you are mad on the mat yet. Just give it some time. No, but it's so great to think that we have this capacity to use our physical bodies in such a way that it transforms our experience. You can feel this also after you've gone for a run, or if you're upset and you went for a run, or even a dance class or a yoga class where you come in with one kind of like cloud of feelings and leave more aligned, more present, more yourself. With your next inhale, hug your knees to your chest. And you're going to braid your right knee over your left knee, keeping your knees lined up over your hips. You're going to take your hands, lift up your feet so they're level with your knees, slide your hands to your shins, or if you're bendy and you have a lot of space, to your feet, coming into Supta Gomakasana. So reclining cow face pose. So you want to have your feet lined up with your knees. So Izzy, I think you need to bring your feet like more. So you're here and I want you here. So you might not be able to bring them as close to your face, But that way, and then relax your head down. But you feel it's a mighty stretch in your gluteus maximus or gluteus maximi. And it also is a lower back releaser. So where you feel it the most is really in your like a butt stretch. And if you can't hold onto your feet, that's fine. Just hold on to your shins. If you are holding onto your feet, you can also have your feet flexed to protect your knees because your knees are bent about 90 degrees. So this is quite a yang yin pose. So even as you're in it, remind yourself to approach it in a more yin way, sorry. So more soft, maybe more still. And then you're going to release your hands and you're going to keep your knees as they are. And you're going to let both of your knees hug them up towards your chest and then drop them to your left. So we're starting class often how we finish class. But allowing our body to twist, to open up in different ways through our yin practice is different than getting to it through our yang practice. It's not very normal, or a lot of yoga classes still are set up so you do like the sweaty yang thing first, and then once you're exhausted, you move on to the yin. It's an elegant picture of how these polarities will flip, but it doesn't honor kind of how we know things come into the world. And we know that everyone came here via the feminine, via the female. And instead of being exhausted so you can be vulnerable and release and be soft and quiet, there is a different effort when we start with that, not from exhaustion or desperation, but with intent and purpose. Similar to how we would plant a seed. And with your inhale, roll back to center, unwind your legs. You can move around however you'd like. And then the way to come into Supta Gomakasana is you lift up your knees and braid your left knee over your right knee and have your knees right over your hips. Now flex your feet and try to effort your feet towards your face, lining up your feet with your knees. It's not a big movement. And then slide your hands along your shins. Maybe if you're really open and flexible, you can hold onto your feet. Maybe you don't need to hold onto your feet. Relax your head. Keeping your feet flexed protects your knees. So we have consistently in our culture dismissed and undervalued all that is feminine. And maybe you not personally, or more likely, not consciously. There is this mystery that is connected to the feminine. It is hidden and secret. It is underneath. And we've made strides in like giving things like privileged women the vote. We've made little like baby steps. That we can see, like, for instance, in the Me Too movement. It's so the wrong word for that. But yeah. But have you taken the time to notice where in your own life do you put down all of those things that used to be called women's work? Where you dismiss as less valuable those things that are yin, quiet, slow, mysterious. And then release your feet, hug your knees to your chest, and let your knees drop to your right. So they're still crisscross applesauce. Yes. Take a full breath in, and with your exhale, sigh out. Oh. Just like we easily abdicate responsibility for, for instance, the environment or other people's oppression, because we don't necessarily recognize exactly where we're doing it, or it's just so little, it's not a big deal, it's just me. But because we have been so well educated in the yang way of life, in valuing what is yang and dismissing what is yin, we have to have a willingness to scrutinize our own dismissal of feminine and yin, and notice that that is exactly the place that we can work on. Charles Eisenstein is so, in his book, Climate, A New Story, is so sweetly articulate about the abstraction of working on like a climate change. It's this far off thing. And, when we focus on like CO2 emissions and on a global scale, it keeps coming back to like, I'm just one person. I don't make that big of a difference. And if we keep it like abstracted because it's so big and far away, we can have these delusions that, if one company is just destroying a forest over there, but we plant a forest over on the other side of the world, that somehow balances it out. This abstraction is a lot of what we're doing with the kind of marginalizing of the feminine attributes, even in ourselves. So instead, we want to come back to our superpower as human beings, which is love. So if you love the earth where you live and take care of the forest that you live nearby, or, help mobilize people to prevent a dam being built or a pipeline being laid, or in your direct piece, like neighborhood, in your earth, like your earth area. That can be motivated from love, and it is personal. We want to take care of this planet. Now roll back to center and stretch your legs out, wiggle, woggle them, whatever you need to do. And then we're going to move into happy baby for our last yin before we get our fire on. So you're going to hold on to the insides of your feet, and you're going to stack your knees over your ankles over your knees, and pull your knees down towards your armpit. So instead of, focusing on the packaging or the pronouns or the like little PC elements of being pro feminine right now, really dig deeper and notice in yourself, where do you dismiss or demonize those aspects of you that are the feminine parts of you? Do you feel like you fight against your body, for instance? Do you value more yang things over yin things? These days, or, for the past couple of years, I often can't teach a yoga class without talking about my teacher, about Orland. But one of my favorite stories about Orland is in Yip 1, that he was there for 360, which was the conference that they closed out the year with. That at that time, the forum tip was the end of the year celebration. And then, of course, was time to clean Telavana. And Orland volunteered to clean the bathrooms. And this, for me, is such a great picture. In his practice, he talks about bringing our love and attention entirely to whatever it is that we're doing, whether it is giving a lecture to 350 people, when we used to be able to do those kind of things, or, writing a book, or like all these big deal, cool things, or doing the dishes, or cleaning the bathroom, or taking care of someone. When we bring our love and attention, then it is a practice. Then it is worthy of our time and our effort. Now, stretch out your right leg, holding on to it. Yeah, so you might not be able to stretch it all the way. We're just going to hang out here for a bit. So it's like goofy baby pose. We're just going to hang out for a couple breaths. We're not going to take 5 minutes with this variation. And then bend that leg and straighten the other leg as much as you can. Very nice. Now, it's easy to be like, so discover what you don't like in yourself and notice how most of it is yin. It's easy to say such things, but don't rush your work in it. I don't think by the end of today, you'll be like, oh, I figured it out. That is a very young attitude, right? So as Rilke says, we want to live into the answer. We want to notice, where can we actually, in our small little universe, honor and lift up what is traditionally put down. Maybe you have the flexibility to stretch both of your legs. And maybe your toes come all the way down to the ground, lined up with your ears. Keeping your legs still wide, gnomes. So you don't want your feet higher than your ears. Yeah. And oh yeah, your lower back on the ground. You might not be there yet, so be gentle, be kind, and then hug your knees into your chest. And rock and roll on your spine and come up into a seated position. So I swore I'd never teach yin yoga because it was so boring and so slow, and you only do like, 10 postures in a class. But now I think it's the most useful thing I do. But despite that, it took time to live into that answer. So find a comfortable seat, either easy posture, half lotus, full lotus. We're not going to go into floating lotus yet. And then this time, I want you just to cover your hands with your heart. A little bit of a different gesture. And then close your eyes. And just take a moment and notice if there's a part of yourself in your imagination that needs a little tenderness and warmth and love. Remembering to take even that aspect with us on our journey in yoga, on our practice. And from here, let's sound 3 ohms. Empty your breath all the way. Take a deep inhale. And then release your hands down, and staying in this position, we're going to take a couple moments and we're going to start to do some rib rolls. Yeah, baby. So notice that you want to stay quite extended in your spine. So just like a really yang class will bring you to a yin state, you also now change the circle direction. You also want to notice that part of why we do yin to begin, not just because it rhymes, but because it actually leads you to awaken the yang in you. We naturally strive for balance. And then come to center. And you're going to take your right hand and slide it a little bit away from you, and then drape your left hand over. You can let your elbow start to sink. Feel that you're grounding down and reaching down through your left hip. Stretch your arm long. Take a full inhale with your exhale, just side out. And then you're going to do a little swoop. So you're going to swoop to the other side. Yes, very nice. Let your elbow be heavy. Feel the stretch all along the intercostal muscles, below your ribs, even getting into the ilia. And then inhale, lift up, and come up onto your tabletop. Well, you're not going to be on your table. You are the table. And and you can turn your wrists, especially if you have sensitive wrists or you haven't been doing vinyasa that much. You can make some circles with your wrists, turning your hands all sorts of ways and just making the circles. Just kidding. Isabel's cat is very vocal. Very nice. And even shake out your hands. Oh yeah. And then shake out your leg. Woo! Look at all the soft parts shaking. It is not what we normally do. And then shake out your other leg. You can use whatever sound effects you need. And then you're going to bring your hands and your knees to the ground. And with your inhale, lift up your head, your heart, and your hips, coming into cow. And with your exhale, push the ground away, pulling your belly up. Inhale up into cow. Feel your shoulders reaching down towards your hips. Feel your sit bones separating, your gaze lifting. And exhale. This time you're going to just lift up your knees and float your cat. Now, if you want a little extra, you're going to keep your knees floating and float your cow. Yeah, a little awkward. Very nice. Exhale, float your cat. And then tuck your toes under and come into more of a bear pose. So you're bending your knees a lot in your downward facing dog. And then see how much you can keep the length in your spine as you gently extend your legs more. And then lift up your right leg. Bend your knee, let your hips spin open. And then see if you can square your shoulders down. So you're rolling your right ribs to the ground is what it feels like. And then see if you can get really light in your left hand. Maybe come up to your fingertips. Maybe float your hand, or maybe see if you can reach back and actually just hold or tap your foot. Very nice, Hedwig. You win. Okay, bring your left foot back down. Sorry, left hand back down and your leg back down. Yes. And then roll over the top to plank. And like an old-fashioned steam train engine, keep your knees bent and reach back through bear and then straighten your legs. And then inhale, lift up your left leg. Bend your knee, let your hips spin open. Feel that you're countering the opening of your hips by rolling your left rib cage down a little bit so your shoulders square. And then get light in your right hand. It might not be the same as the other side. Maybe hold on to your foot, maybe touch your foot, maybe just think about your foot. Oh. And then release your limbs to the ground. And again, roll over the top, bend your knees deeply, reach back to downward facing dog. And 2 more times, roll over the top, bend your knees deeply, keep your knees deeply bent as you push back and then extend your legs. One last time, over the top, bend your knees. You should feel a warming sensation in your thighs, yeah? And then inhale, come forward to plank. And slowly move your chin away from your chest and lower all the way down to the ground. Now you're going to roll to your right hand side. I'm having trouble with my ears too small because the microphone is of course designed for a guy. Okay. And bring your hand underneath your head. Oh, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Lie on your arm. We're going to Vishnu's couch. I forgot for a moment what we were doing. And then stretch your top arm along your body, or if you need a little extra help, you can always have your right hand on the floor in front of your chest. Now lift up your left leg a little bit. And then lift your right leg to meet your left leg. And if that's easy, stretch your arm along your thigh, your right hand. And if that's easy, start to lift up your head and see if you can lift up your left arm. And if that's easy, stretch your right arm and lift, bowing up. Notice you might be more like a fish than a couch. And then release. Roll onto your belly and roll over to the other side. So it's a deceptive thing. Vishnu's couch. Couch makes you go, oh yeah, easy. Not so easy. So you start by lying on your left arm, I guess, whatever arm you're lying on. And first lift your top leg. And then see if you can get your bottom leg to reach your top leg. Yeah. And then see if you can start to stretch your top arm down your body. Lift up your head, lift up your bottom arm, and then maybe, very nice, gnomes, stretch both arms up. You're amazing. Woo! And then with your exhale, come back down to the ground. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders, and you're going to place your forearms on the ground, tuck your toes under, and lift up into forearm plank. Yay. Yay. That's what you were thinking, right? Yay. Now, from forearm plank, we're hanging out for a little bit. This is getting the fire starting. You can have your hands either flat on the ground or interlacing your fingers. And we're going to start to bring our shoulders over our elbows and tiptoe our feet towards our elbows, lifting up into dolphin. Notice if you forgot to breathe. So in dolphin, you really will notice if your elbows are out too wide, you're like bumping your head on the yoga mat. So then just slide them back in. Now with your next inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. Notice if you can square your hip. And then release your right leg down and inhale, lift up your left leg. And then with your exhale, bring yourself down all the way to a momentarily child's pose. So keep your arms stretching out in front of you. In this variation, we're not really easing off, but just a little bit. And then, yay, we're going to slide forward to forearm plank again. Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, this time, step your feet together and roll to the outside edge of your left foot, opening up your hips, stacking your hips one on each other. Stretch your right arm up to the sky. And then bend your right elbow, and then see if you can bend and lift your right leg. Mm-hmm. And then with your exhale, bring your right elbow down to the ground, bring your feet together, strong abdominals, and roll to the outside edge of your left foot. So we're going up with cactus legs and cactus arms. Mm-hmm. It's like, it makes you feel like one of those awesome statues, a dancing Shiva statue or something. Or the less popular version of the statue, I guess. And then come back to your forearms. Oh yeah, let's hold it for a few moments. So feel your heels reaching back, your chest reaching forward, your belly engaged, your chin away from your chest, your attitude stellar. And then start to walk your feet towards your elbows, lifting up into dolphin one more time. Very nice, very nice. Your gaze, very good question. Your gaze is reaching forward towards your hands. Now lift up one leg, lift up two, hold forearm balance if you'd like, or scorpion. Now switch legs if you haven't yet. For 5, 4, 3, 2, none. And come back down to the ground. Let your hips sink back. Come into child's pose. Yes, my love. This time, take your arms back behind you. Notice that your shoulders can kind of relax more here. Still breathing through your nose, trying to keep this warmth and heat in our body rising, but not taking us out. So when we get too hot and too bothered, we can't stay present. Aight. Stretch your arms forward. Tuck your toes under, and this time exhale, come up to downward facing dog. And doesn't it feel glorious and spacious? Woo! And now step your feet together and inhale, come forward into plank. Mm-hmm. And then roll to the outside edge of your right foot. Stretch your left arm to the sky. And we're going to do a little hip drop. So you're going to drop your hips nearly to touch the ground and inhale, lift up them too high. 3 more. Drop too low. Inhale too high. Drop too low. Inhale too high. Drop too low. Now inhale to a perfect side plank. And if you want, you can stretch your leg up or hold it with your fingers or whatever. And then exhale, come to plank, lower down, chaturanga, inhale to plank, and then roll open to the left side. So left foot, reach your arm up. All right, you've got 4 of them. So they're like, they're like hip push-ups. I don't know how to say it. So you drop your hips low as you go, and then up as high as they go. Down too low, up too high, down too low, up too high. I think there's one more time, down too low, up too high, and then come to that perfect place. Maybe lift your right leg, ta-da, and then exhale, come down all the way to the ground. Get strong with your legs, plant your toenails to the ground. Inhale, lift up, cobra. Yeah, so your legs are on the ground, but they're active. Very nice. And with your exhale, come back to your knees and straighten your legs for downward facing dog. Take a big inhale with your exhale, sigh it out. Got a little warm? Got a little fire going? Take another full inhale. Empty your breath all the way and then walk or float your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, drag your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down, let your head drop. Root down to rise up and roll all the way up to the ceiling. If you can, stretch your fingers even up high. Sorry, pair. And with your exhale, samastitihi. Inhale, reach your arms up. Some days I even like to clap my hands. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. And then jump to chaturanga or step to plank and lower down chaturanga. Inhale, upward, happy dog. Exhale, downward, happy dog. Find the small bend in your knees. Feel that you have more power in your legs. You want to feel like the pounce potential, the potential that you could pounce forward at any moment. So that's like what a big tiger would do, would pounce on its prey. Take a full inhale, empty your breath all the way, and then fly forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Feel your back broadening as well as your chest. Exhale, release and bow down. Push down with your feet, rise up tall, reach up high, and then exhale, samastitihi. That word has been giving me trouble this week. Bend your knees, drop your booty, inhale, Katasana. And let's get a little bit more fluid. With your exhale, open arm twist to your right. Inhale up to center. With your exhale, open arm twist to your left. Enjoy it. Inhale up to center. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale, I love chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. And with your exhale, step your right foot to your right thumb and rise up, crescent lunge. Exhale, open arm twist to your right. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg long. Exhale, step your foot forward, rise up, crescent lunge. Exhale, open arm twist to your left. Inhale up to center. Exhale, vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog opens your heart, strong legs. Exhale, downward facing dog. Find that small little bend in your knees. Feel your sweet butt cheeks lifting up to the stars. Notice what's alive in you. Now walk your hands like one hand's length closer to your feet and reach back with your right hand and grab onto your left ankle and kind of like do a little peekaboo underneath your left armpit. And then switch hands and do another little twisty poo here. And then bring your hands back, downward facing dog, fuel up, take a full breath in, empty your breath all the way and quietly and lightly float your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, release and bow down. Bend your knees, drop your butt, inhale, Katasana. And with your exhale, open arm twist to your right. Now, like we're going in slow motion, I want you to lift up your left knee and then reach it back and then step into it, coming into twisting Anjaneyasana. Yeah. Inhale, lift up Anjaneyasana. With your exhale, open up warrior two. Inhale, reverse your triangle, straighten your right leg. And with your exhale, you're gonna fly into half moon. A little stutter for me today. Beautiful. So we're gonna have a moment here of rest. So find your peace with it. So you have to find that yin part of you inside as your muscles are all fiery. Now either stay here or if you're ready, bend your top leg, your left leg, and grab onto your foot. Beautiful. Now either stay here or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, start to float your right hand and lift up into bow pulling pose. Just bow pose. Dancer. So let your heart open. Maybe you're adding some hip hop, whatever you need. Maybe a hint of a smile. And then see if you can reverse it. Beautiful pair. Let your hand come down. I know. Whoa. Stretch your leg long with your exhale. Bring your left hand down to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift, hips squared. Exhale, I love chaturanga. One leg or two. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full fueling breath in. And with your exhale, empty it all the way and then float your feet quietly in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, drag your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down. Bend your knees, drop your butt, inhale, Katasana, ta-da. And with your exhale, open arm twist to your left. Now, like you're in slow motion, your hips are squared, so pull your right knee back and then start to float your right leg. Extend it. There's no rush. Place it, feel it. You're in twisting Anjaneyasana. Then inhale, lift up, crescent lunge, straight forward. With your exhale, open up warrior two. Inhale, straighten your leg and your arm, reverse your triangle. And with your exhale, fly into half moon. I am so wobbly this morning. I hope you're enjoying your wobbles. Now stretch through your arms. This might be plenty for you. But again, get active with your left foot and it actually helps the lightness of your whole leg. And then bend your knee, grab onto your foot if it's there for you, or just try if you're not sure. And then with no rush, lift up into dancer pose and feel that you have the alignment of like a suspension bridge. So if you feel like you're falling forward, kick more. If you feel like you're falling backwards, reach more. Very nice. And then rewind. So lower down, release your leg. First, find that half moon posture. And then as you bring your right hand down to the ground, you're squaring your hips. Now, a nice trick is that you really throw your right leg up in the air so you have lots of room to jump back in chaturanga. It should feel fun. Inhale, upward facing dog or whatever. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let your knees soften. Feel the fire inside of you. And then see if maybe you can drop your elbows down to the ground. Actually, I know you can drop your elbows down to the ground. It's more of, are you going to do them at the same time? Or are you going to put your knees down or not? And then make sure you have enough space so your head can be like, yes, yes, no, no, maybe. Yeah. All right. Now we're really going to play with forearm balance. So if you want, Hedwig, turn to a wall, or anybody, feel free to use a wall here if you'd like, or maybe you're lucky enough to have a person. And then stretch one leg up into the sky first, and then start to hop or lift up or jump a little bit, seeing if maybe, how you doing? You doing okay here? Good, you can speak. You can find the forearm balance just for a moment. Breathe into it, and then to come down, pike at your hips, and everybody meet down in child's pose. Don't worry, you'll get another chance. So one of the things that we really actually want to cultivate is we don't, yin by itself, it doesn't exist. It has to have yang in there to be yin. And this is so cool because actually for me to be myself, it's so vital that I have you in my life. You help me be myself and I help you be yourself. All right, come up again onto your forearms. Now, wherever you are, I see a lot of you using a wall. That's fantastic. I see you not using a wall. It doesn't need it. Pair your choice. I'm happy to help, or you can use the wall too. And then lift up your other leg. So you're starting off the other way. Now really concentrate on pulling your elbows towards one another and kicking with straight legs as much as possible. Now, if you're holding forearm balance, you're actually continuing to get taller. So you're pulling your ribs towards you as your legs effort up. Would you like me? Or are you cool?
Let's try.
Okay. Allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself to wobble. It's okay. And then gently, when you're ready, come back to child's pose. So one of the cool things about our yoga practice is we actually practice putting our bodies into different places and orientating ourselves differently compared to gravity. And part of this practice isn't just so you can impress your friends or your cat. It's really about finding your own ground so that you know where you are, no matter whether you're upside down or right side up. And eventually maybe even inside out, you know what I mean? We're practicing on not being disoriented, on keeping our center. Now, since our class is only an hour this morning and not 2, we're gonna come onto our back. So lift up here, cross your ankles and roll over your crossed ankles. So we did a very active back bends for our class today. Feel free, if you want to have one more back bend from the floor, you can take it. So coming either into bridge or wheel. If that's not necessary for you, you're welcome to come into a twist already. But sometimes it's just nice, especially to do a posture you're more familiar with when you've been challenging yourself in postures you're not so familiar with. And you'll notice whether you're in wheel or bridge that your back is quite warm and juicy, I think. Right, babe? Yeah. And then bring your beautiful self down to the mat. One more time, lift up your knees. And this time, lift up your face and kiss your knees. Thank you for getting you this far in life. And then Stretch your arms out. Really feel your right hand on the ground. Feel your right shoulder on the ground, and then slowly drop your knees to the left. Now notice if you can lower your right hand so it's lower than your shoulder. It might help you ground down your shoulder again. And you can even take your left hand and actually push into your right thigh. And so you have a little, with the grounding of your right shoulder and pushing into your right thigh or your right hip, you have a little bit more to your twist. And then hug both your knees back up to center. Feel your left hand on the ground, stretching your arms out in a T. Feel your palm on the ground, feel your shoulder. And you're going to slowly drop your legs to your right, keeping your left shoulder grounded if possible. And that might be more possible if you lower your left hand. And if you want, you can use your right hand to help you twist more. So maybe it doesn't work so much for you to push your thigh or your hip. Figure out maybe another assist that helps you, pulling your knee towards your chest, perhaps. I think part of what turned me on to yin was discovering that yin actually gives me the wings for my vinyasa. There's a reason that we come into the world through this yin passage, that we grow just like a seed in the darkness and the warmth before we burst out to be extraordinary ourselves. Hug your knees back in, stretch your legs long, and come into Shavasana. So this is the most important pose of our practice. It's why we've done all of this. And again, there can be a habit to kind of think this isn't important because you're doing nothing. But one of the elements that you are very active in Shavasana is staying present. So we want to learn how to maintain our concentration and our kind of aim despite the fireworks going on around us, or somebody saying, hey, look over here, which is basically what all of media does. So we don't want to be, we want our freedom like unmessable. So we don't fall victim to all of the people who want to grab your attention, all of the things. So stay present. Feel the solidness of the ground hold you. And one of the ways to help you in practicing presence is to listen. With your next inhale, invite your breath to the edges of your beautiful body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes and smile because you're alive. And then stretch your arms long over your head, get your body long, wiggle it longer. And then with your exhale, hug your knees to your chest, roll onto your side, and just feel the vibrancy and the potential and the life in you. Help yourself up into a comfortable seated position. And we're going to take a mudra. We're going to take Anahata Mudra. So Anahata means heart. You're going to have the base of your pinky, your palm, and your thumbs glued together. And then you really keep them squeezed together. And then you effort your fingers out like a flower opening. Bring your thumbs to your breastbone, lift up tall with your eyes closed, chin away from your chest. Empty your breath and take a deep inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward, together we say, Namaste. And so much love. Then make some noise.